Now, before I forget and look really, really awkward about it later. Hi, everybody. I hope you're all having a most phenomenal, phenomenal Thursday afternoon. I'm going to start getting my doohickeys and my things here all set up. And then we'll get rolling along with a Tarot Thursday, which is this week going to be Oracle Thursday, because I want to play with my Pretty Lady cards. And so you all get to play with my Pretty Lady cards because I want to play with my Pretty Lady cards. It's just how it's got to go sometimes. It's mildly frantic potatoes over here in Magic House headquarters. I'm 3 weeks before I have to be completely ready to be gone for 5 weeks. And so running really close to the line and stressing everybody out. But it's fine. It's fine. We're going to make it out and it's going to be great. And it's going to be a good time for everybody. And so, as such, I've got a few things on my list that I haven't reached out to, like Anna. I see you there. I still owe you some information back. I see your message about lucid dreaming. And trust, I haven't. Oh, that's a fight I'm going to get into later. See, it's just bad potatoes everywhere. That's all it is. So yeah, we're going to do Oracle cards today. That's the same just as what we do with the tarot cards. You give me permission and I will draw you a card. And you don't got to stick around for the whole video. You can always pop back and see it on YouTube later on. Because every Thursday I do post it up on YouTube so that if you can't stay, which is pretty damn common, you can still catch it at a later point down the road. All advice comes with follow-up as well too. Like if I say something that's not causing a good sense of understanding or a connection, then by all means reach out, let me know. Because better that we work together on these understandings than working against one another. And just because people keep having a habit of messaging me while I'm doing this, it's just an easy way for them to know I'm busy. Just an easy way. Heading live now. And that way I might not have things, interrupting every 5 seconds on here. But yeah, throw down permission in the comments. And we'll get you a card drawn. And if you can't stick around, then hit me up on YouTube at Lopic Magic House there as well. And we can get you all your information at that time. Thanks, Anna. We're going to start with you today. Let me just cue this all to the right size. Big new TV in the background for the little. Just wanted to pick that up a little bit ago. Okay. So we're starting with Anna today. Anna, card going for her. Now, I feel like I should have done a disclaimer on my Pretty Lady cards beforehand. They're usually used for my emotion-based readings. The whole idea being they really, really touch on the heart matter really, really well and bring about sort of that understanding of the bigger picture dynamics that are at hand and at play. And so, Anna, you're getting the faceless ghosts and the haunted girl. Remember that we're looking at the whole picture here. You aren't just the faceless ghosts or the haunted girl. You are this unfortunate combination of both. And the key component with this is recognizing that you have to have a certain face on in order to endure the moments that you're going through. If you've ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, we're kind of talking like Kai the Face, Koi the Face Stealer. If you show expression, if you show emotion, if you show feeling, they're going to take advantage of that and use it against you. And so it becomes this indicator that you're stuck in a spot where you have to perform to a certain level in order to appease these other individuals, these other energies, these other moments. Be careful how you go about this. The longer that you are approaching and being this person and pretending to be this face for these others, the more risk there is that you're going to lose your own face to them. And that's the big thing that must be avoided. When dealing with others, we will always create a face for them. The hope is that face can be as genuine and close to our true form as possible. That way we're expressing ourselves in genuine ways. However, sometimes you have to put on a face that's not really you in order to appease the situation, the moment. I see this mostly in people's workplaces. And eventually there comes a point where they start to become their workplace. They become the energy of that spot and that facade that they're putting together. Before that happens, break away and break free so that you're not stuck and trapped, being someone that you're not actually being or are meant to be. If you can protect yourself by maintaining other areas where you can express your genuine nature fully, without hesitation and without inhibition, then that's going to be your best counteract to protect yourself from these faceless ghosts. The thing with the faceless ghosts you have to remember is they're just being themselves. They are this energy, they are this form, and you're just going to have to kind of work through them, over them, and around them in order to survive yourself. Be grounded, be firm. The red dress reminding us to hold to our firm root down so that we can survive whatever moments are coming ahead. Good luck, Ayana. Honestly, a lot of us deal with this energy frequently in our lives. We just have to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to be our true self through those moments, even when they're tough, even when they're difficult. Elizabeth, I see you put a question in there. I will absolutely pull up a card for you as well. Yes or no questions are neat. Especially for oracle decks, because there can be indication of what an energy might be like. But when we start looking for yes or no questions, sometimes we miss the intricacies of what's really going on in the situation. So we're going to draw a card on it, and the cards are going to tell us a story. And the story is where we have to find the answer. Elizabeth asking about her blonde crush. Let's see what we got. Violet Angel is what we have coming forward. Now, the Violet Angel is breaking dawn, new realizations, new awarenesses, coming to new evolution of oneself. The sun rises and we can see everything clearly, and things that were prior, strange shade of different colors and different formats, are now present for us, much more beautiful to us. I'm trying to get this on a picture that's actually going to work, and it's being nasty. I'm watching it zoom in, zoom out. It's just being mean. So hang tight for a second here while I try to fix that. Work it that way. Okay. So the dawn has broken. You're realizing your own potential. You're realizing something new and true about yourself. It's like connecting with this energy. It's like bringing out something new with you. And you're not quite sure where exactly that energy is going to go, how it's going to affect you. You just know that you can feel it. And you can feel it as being real. This is super empowering because it allows you then to take yourself into something that will evolve you, grow you, and make you greater than what you were. However, to embrace that power, we ourselves have to be bold. We have to be confident. We have to be strong in that moment and move towards it as though it is something that we are deserving of. Not just because it's there, but going to it because this is a part of our development and our growth. I think they call them canon events now, and I really like that terming. Because yes, if you take this plunge, it's opening yourself up to something about you that you may not have fully opened or engaged with yet. And so by allowing yourself to do this, you become better, more full, more empowered, more centered into being a version of you that you can absolutely delight in being. So if I'm going to give you a yes or no, I would say yes. Not because it might be successful though, but because in doing so, you reveal a truth about yourself to yourself, and doing so allows you to step forward into that new light, that new dawn, and that new realization. I put a caution of will it be accepted? I'm hesitant to answer that just because it is the single person by themselves. But there is power in both acceptance and rejection, sometimes even in the conversation that comes out of the moment. So I'm encouraging. Dive in and do the share and do the connect with this crush of yours and just see what comes out of it. It may not be completely long-lasting to the rest of your life, but it may be enough to spark something in this moment that'll be building you up to a greater flow. Good luck on that one, Elizabeth. I did see Tabby drop in asking about the husband. We'll see what we got going on here, Tabby. These are actually better cards I find for that dynamic. Phrasing questions. If you phrase it as a yes or no, It leaves a person of power to find a way to manipulate what it is that you're working with. And so I would always say, what are the feelings between me and my husband? What's going on with my husband? Make it so that it can be to the story. Because when you're asking for a story from a reader, you're now challenging them not just to see a pattern and give you their personal opinion, you challenge them to tell you the intricate dynamics that are there. No story is without multiple actors, themes, plots, and there's so many deep variables that go into each and every one. Don't let your readers off easy. Make them work for what they're doing. Coming up to Tabby, let's look at the husband, affections and flows. The Witch at the End of the World is this deck's equivalent of the World card in the Major Arcana. We're coming to a point where something is just unbearable, unattainable, or completed to the best that it can possibly be. And the joy of this is that it means that there is going to be a change. And I love change. Change is great. Change is power. Change is an ability to make something new out of everything else that you have. And that manifestation of things is one of the greatest gifts that we have as a human being. However, what specifically is ending? I would get into a really, really good conversation with the gentleman. Well, we'll call him the fella. Get into a good conversation with the fella and get to understanding where they really are at with themselves in their life. I think that there are things in them that they are not quite ready to let go of. And I think that may be where the distance, frustration, and the scary lightning in the background, the thunder and lightning might be coming from. But if the change is handled in such a way where he doesn't feel like he can flip the hourglass into a new evolution or a new flow, then I think things are going to go poorly, quotation marks, question mark. The conversation will help you better understand. Maybe you two have just found it at this point, without any new heading, new direction, or new shared goals, really hard to kind of have the same enthusiasm that you might have had back before. But needing to get through this translation, needing to get through this shift in the lifestyles and the energies is the only way that you're going to know the truth about what you two are. If you both try to deal with it as individuals, there's a greater chance that you're both going to fall apart. If you come together and challenge the conversation, not as an accusation, but as an invitation to share table and better understand the bigger picture, that's where you're going to get the best blessings, the best growth, the best personal developments, the best evolution, the best advancement. You've got some big things coming up ahead, Tabby, and not always easy to evolve and go through certain such things. I as a food for thought, I was doing up an energy calendar, and this applies a little bit to everybody. If Elizabeth's still in here as well too, good things for them to hear as well. And Anna, but I see you up there still, Anna, so that makes it easier. My energy calculator takes the astrological placements, adds a numerical value, and applies it based on the element of the zodiac that they're in. And so I get a basic measure based on which planets affect us differently. Some of them are more about how community involves. Some of them are more about bringing up deep, dark secrets. And so those ones get weighted just a little bit heavier because they impact us in a way that collectively we will struggle more to deal with. My test run with it had fire energy going really, really high throughout the last 2 months. And we saw this weird expression thing kind of coming around and affecting people in new and different ways. Now as that's kind of waning off, it actually dives down to one of the lowest values I've seen it at yet. And it's all energies moving into air, starting about this week, moving into next week at the new moon. The number of stupid that I've seen kind of come out in conversations, opinions, and everything else in the last little bit has been almost unbearable. And what I think is happening is as the air energy goes up, we're all pushed into trying to have the big conversations again. How we approach those conversations, though, has to be done very carefully. If we approach with an intention to attack, push, or drive in on somebody aggressively, negative things are going to happen because we're trying to aggress over them. Aggressing over somebody is better done under fire energy, not air energy. air energy, it has to be an exchange of air, an exchange of communication, and an exchange of flow. So in any areas where you feel like you're being overcramped in upon, get your space and get your ability to collect your thoughts and ideas and express them fully. In those other places where you're feeling that you're not being heard, push the words a little bit more firmly. Communication energy increases over the next 2 weeks to peak at about June 7th, and then tapers off and balances out by June 20th. So you're going to have maybe 3 weeks here of really good communication opportunity. Don't neglect it. Try and dive in on it best that you can. Ayla, asking about the love life looking like in the future. And a little Sagittarius symbol down on the end. Gotta love the Sagittariuses. Little hunters. And when I say hunter, I really do mean the Dido song, if you remember it. Now, Ayla, you got coming up the Angel of Time. The Angel of Time is an ideology of working too hard, investing too much energy, and pushing and pushing and pushing. And hoping with that push that something can be derived from the moment that's going to be satisfactory. But let's say you're pushing for the stimulation of events and being out there and involved in the world. Well, we go and on Monday we're out at a movie, and then at Tuesday we're going go-karting, and then Wednesday we're going to laser tag, then Thursday we went to the carnival, then Friday we went to another movie. By the time Saturday rolls around, you can't remember what happened at any of these events. It's just a constant stream of events. And so my gut instinct on it is it's an oversaturation of whether it be events or pushes or trying to shoot too many arrows all at once perhaps, and needing just to kind of hold back a little bit. Now, saying hold back to a Sagittarius is sometimes it's like trying to tell somebody to calm down. It's just counterintuitive, and you think it would work, but no, absolutely not. The Sagittarius thrives off the idea of pushing through, and so holding back could be better reimagined as focus your shot, focus your form. Remember, it is an athletic energy that is supposed to come through Sagittarius. It's why it's such a fighter. And so if you can maintain your flow and dynamics instead towards the bowman holding a long stroke, aiming at that same moment. Now that he's got the arm where he wants it, holding the tension at the level that he wants it, he can focus instead simply on the aim. Not trying to draw, aim, and focus all at the same time, but one bit at a time. It makes it a little bit easier to do a thing, assess if you're at the right point for the next thing, and then bring in that new layer. And it's quotation marks slows things down. You're still pushing the point on that same topic or on that same conversation or on that same goal, but you're now doing it in cycles that are just a little bit more extended, a little bit more worked out. Not 10,000 knives all at once, but one good axe swing at a time. If you can find that way to pace the flow, pace the energy, not work so hard to get so little, you're going to find a lot better playing out for you in the long run. But it really is sort of hitting the brakes on the working too hard. This is tricky because, like, if you've got a love life that's active and engaged right now, it's the danger of being sort of stuck on that same cycle for too long. If you're with a very focused energy, it's just making sure that you guys are getting quality time and not just time spent. If there's nobody and nothing, it's literally the quit looking and let it find you kind of dynamic. And so where you're at right now in life is kind of key here, Ayla. If you ever want to hit me up for a love reading, though, I really do love doing love readings. By the way, it's 11:11 here. 11:11 here in the Mountain Time. Hope you guys are having a good one. Okay, so there is someone. The time invested has to be quality. It has to be quality that makes you guys feel like you're actually getting what you both need. Time spent talking about love languages would be phenomenal right now, because then you can make sure that the time is always shooting for quality. Mine does that occasionally. It's a pain in the butt. I blame Canadian internet. But yeah, time spent has to be quality. Talk to them about love languages. Is it still frozen? Oh, is it still frozen? Here, let's just do this. Is it still frozen? I hope it's not still frozen. How about now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, I'll go with it. Honestly, I've been trying to get away with Bluetooth headset, and it does sound better with the Bluetooth headset, but it doesn't at the same time. Yeah, as I was rambling, quality time, love languages. Is the love language touch? Is the love language quality time literally just spent? Is it gift giving? Is it acts of service? What is it that's going to actually satisfy both of you and get you feeling like you're getting what you deserve, and not just trying to do things that don't matter? And it's not that anything that your partner does doesn't matter. It all matters. But a partner getting me a gift, meaning no offense, is not going to be impactful, versus a partner giving me the words that I'm actually not bad at something, which, yeah. I've been trying to parse together another form of love language centered around just being understood, connected with, related but not related, and there's definitely some works to kind of be figured out with that as well too. But it really is getting a sense of understanding why is it this flow, and is this flow good enough? If not, what can we do to make it better? Tough choices too coming up over the next 3 months. Like this summer's not going to be good for relationships, guys. Don't have the exact reasoning figured out yet why. This is somewhat of my own gut instinct coming up on it, but the summer's not going to be good to relationships. A lot of us we're past the point of just being pent up. We're into the point of we need it now. We need the results now. We need the happiness now. We need the fix now. And the problem there is when we have this high expectation show up and expectations aren't met, we're more likely to burn down the relationships and walk away. And so for all people, you especially, Ayla, you've got to have your idea of what is your exit time. I usually say to people, if somebody's an asshole to you during the spring and the summer and the fall, then guess what? That winter they're going to be an asshole too. If a person is consistently the same person for 3 months straight, that is probably who they are. Now, changes and flows happen periodically, and we can see it usually in a person's mannerisms, their environment, and their behaviors. If you're not seeing change at all in a person, that's bad. Everybody should be changing on a regular basis. Everyone should be evolving regularly. And if they're not evolving, if they're not moving forward, then that's your first red flag. How long do you tolerate that? Depends on your situation, depends on your particular flow. If you've got kids, you might tolerate it for years. If you've got no attachments and no shared responsibilities at all, you might only tolerate it for those 3 months to confirm that the pattern exists. That's why I say take 6 months before getting into a deep, committed relationship with somebody. Get to really know their mannerisms, get to really know their flows, get to know who they are underneath all of the masking layers that have been created. And everybody has masks. Everybody has masks and everybody has flows. Nobody else has asked for a card yet, so we'll just keep chatting about this, Ayla. I got no issues with that. I'm going to flip this around, though, until somebody asks for a card. So, Ayla, it's been a year. How were they during the first 6 months, and how are they now during these 6 months? Because they usually can only keep up. They can usually only keep up a facade of themselves for a particular amount of time. Hi, Donna. I'll get you on the list. Good to see you. So, if the first 6 months, they were fantastic, and now they've just kind of dived down and it stayed that way for 6 months, you could afford them another 6 months and be like, what's the difference here? But you have to actually press that question and put out the measures there. You have to 100% challenge him to prove that those first 6 months weren't just a Venus flytrap getting you to fly in and then get eaten alive. Not calling you a fly, just saying some of us Some of us gentlemen are absolute schmucks. We will put on the best facade that we can for you and then nosedive immediately after. And I'm guilty of it too. I have a bad early on rush energy when meeting new people because I'm excited. There's a new connection. It's phenomenal. But at the core of it, me, myself as an energy form is this slow rolling manicness that most people don't want anything to do with, let's be honest. I'm a 37-year-old psychic with long hair. That's longer than most of the women that I know. There's something odd there, right? And so the ones that last a long time are the ones that had to look past that initial glamour and see the truth of what's behind it. And see, okay, so if he's consistently a brat, Leos usually are, then it's now a matter of the concise communication bits. And Leos train slowly, meaning no offense to Leos, but they do train slowly. Donna put in a card request, and I saw a few others as well too. Mama Angel 16 and Princess. Cool. I got you 3 on the list right now. Donna, let's start with you. If you guys can't stick around to hear the card when it finally does come out, then check out YouTube later on, and I'll have them all posted on there towards the end of the day. I always make sure that the posting goes onto YouTube because there's nothing worse than requesting a card and not hearing it. And all requests will be honored 100% of the time. Leos are phenomenal. My Venus is actually in Leo. And so when I say hard to train, that's where I'm mostly talking from. Truth of the matter is, Leos are the intensity of their own selves. They are just trying to be that full and true representation of what they believe themselves to be. And other people like to call that ego. I like to call that magnificence. So, you are coming up with the Mildew Fairy. I love this little gal. She's got a good heart, good soul, good flow, and she's just tired of the mess. Wants to clean everything up, get down to scrubbing all the bells and whistles and making it all look right. Those combat boots that she's got on too have always been a favorite part of mine. Why? Because she's ready to stomp out the trouble. She's ready to stomp through the mess and get things done. She's ready to challenge the moment and challenge the situation, scrubbing it all down with her little water bottle until everything is clean again, till everything is right. So, you're getting rid of the muck, you're getting rid of the mess, and this is wonderful. Sometimes when we burn off parts of ourselves that we weren't so fond of, it does release a lot of energy back at us as well too. We feel that pushback, like if you've ever had an addiction form, then you know there's always that pushback when you go to try and let it go. Whether that be in withdrawals or other formats, there's always something to you burning when you start to get rid of the bad stuff. And whether it be with a careful brush that you're just trying to clean it out, or whether it be with a big power washer and you're blasting it out, you are going to lose some pieces of you in the process. Allow those pieces to go. Sometimes you just have to let go of the rot and let go of the mess in order for new things to start growing in their place. And so as you go through those pains, try not to go back to old habits, old formats, or old natures. Keep pushing through forward, because what comes up on the other side is always fresher, always brighter, always purified. I keep looking at her little wing here, and it reminds me of it's a little dinosaur with little ridges on the back. Dinosaurs are one of these neat symbols of immortality. Millions and millions and millions of years removed from us, but they have survived. Something universal about that. Something long-lasting. Like yourself, the impacts of your life will be deep and meaningful. You just have to make sure that you're keeping yourself fully kept so that you can present that perfect you on the other side of the situation. Anything that tries to come from your past to drag you into the past, reject it, kick it to the curb, and keep focusing on you to make yourself the brightest thing that you deserve to be. Good energies on that one, Donna. I love Mildew Fairy, and she is one of my favorite girls in this deck. She's really, really good at helping to get everything pushed through. So that is a phenomenal little plus, a phenomenal little bump. Have fun with that one, Donna. Mama Angel 16, we're going to get you next. Asking about the marriage. I usually do my love readings with these cards. I like to draw one for every person that I do read because I think everybody should have a feeling from the pretty ladies of what their emotions are at. But love readings are ones that they're really, really good at. So let's see what we can get you about your marriage. Mama Angel 16 about the marriage. Okay, there's some good, there's some bad, there's some ugly. This is the Nautilus Princess. Thank you anytime, Donna. Always happy to be here. The Nautilus Princess. The core construct here is powerful personal growth. Growing over your own self, like the Nautilus shell, into a repeating pattern that just expands as it goes outward. The Fibonacci sequence is something that you could play a little bit with in your mind on this. A universal relation of harmonics and other bits coming together to create a spiral that follows a perfect geometrical pattern. It demonstrates that the individual here is growing, evolving, and manifesting to something new and something greater. The conch shell being that representation, and so she's very protective of that conch shell and making sure that it's guarded from outside attackers and negative influences. It says for you, Mama Angel, that you and your heart are growing, expanding, you're falling into your own power beautifully, you're becoming greater, you're becoming stronger, you're becoming fuller in yourself. With relation to the arm protecting the conch shell is where we get to the bad. There's a need for you to feel defensive. There's a need for you to feel guarded. And if this gal's going to show up, it's probably valid. There's probably a good reason to be on the defensive and on the suspicious. Maybe the individual in the marriage is seeing you not as partner, but as asset. Or that there's an expectation placed upon you that goes over and above what would normally be expected. And you're the woman that you are, you would probably do it, but you recognize that this is becoming a bit of an invasion in on what is supposed to be your personal power, your personal authority, which unfortunately leads us to the worst possibility. That as you continue to get more strong, they continue to do more to diminish your strength. That they don't see you getting better. They see you instead getting in their way. It's like the guy that can't handle that his partner makes 120K and he makes 80K. Or there's a strong population in my province here that really do believe that women should be homemakers and baby producers with no limitations. Birth control is an affront to God. Or the guy that, for whatever reason at the Catholic school there, decided to say, your degrees are useless, you all should go make babies instead. It's that style of energy at the worst outlook. And when it comes to those kind of fights, you can't let yourself be violated. You can't let yourself be taken. See, in the best case scenario, your power is being fostered, allowed, and released, just the way that you're supposed to be. Independent, powerful woman doing her thing. And underneath all of you, there is that powerhouse waiting to say, this ain't right, fuck you. Allow it to come forward. Allow it to be that strong one. Allow it to be that proper voice. If you allow yourself to get overwhelmed by their energy and your conch shell is taken away from you, that would be straight up them robbing you of your very nature of self. And you can't give your identity over to somebody else. They are not you. They don't deserve to take you away from the rest of us either. And if you can maintain that fierceness of yourself, you will be okay. Powerful personal growth. So whatever you do here and however you do it, it's got to be for you. Make sure it leads to that in all ways. Good luck, Angel. Don't get overwhelmed by somebody else's use of your power. It's like putting Tinkerbell in a cage and saying you can only fly when I say you can fly, and that doesn't fly to me. That's not appropriate. I've got... Where'd we go there? Princess up next. Hello, Juri. Good to see you. Welcome to the show, and thank you very much for the gifts. I try. I keep wanting to do like long chants of something for like a sleeping video on YouTube. And I keep coming back to kids' books, doing children's stories and things like that. Aquarius is the mood. Aquarius is the environment. But if somebody pisses in the wind, you blow that piss back into their face. Good luck. Princess, you're up next. If anybody else would like a card, I just need permission down in the comments. and we'll get moving on along from there. So I guess I'll be recording kid stories again later on here. I'm okay with that. I'm on YouTube at Lopic Magic House, and so there's always videos there where... Oh, hi Taurus. Hi, he's Pisces. So dreamer mindset, and because they're so evasive with their emotions, sometimes getting them to just come out to express. It's not, if you smack the surface of the water, you're going to scare the fish, it's going to run away. And so you have to lure it out. Thing is, luring it out is baiting it, and baiting it is ultimately not necessarily friendly. So be careful how you approach. Be careful how you approach. You are not their river, though. They don't get to just swim in you and piss in you and everything else. Jury, I'll add you up onto the reading list if you'd like. We'll get Princess here next. Oh, you're a Gemini. I just realized that's Princess speaking there. See, that's why I gotta double check names and everything before I just dive into things. I am so glad I double checked that first. Love life and here married and Pisces and Gemini. Okay. Let's see what we got, Princess. Right there, one more cut. Thank you, boys. Well, this will be fun. The Poe card here is usually about adaptation and using new methods, new tools, new formats to make things work. Now, there's a few catch-22s with that one. Because, Princess, what you're most looking at here is an access to one another. Pisces and Gemini can sometimes fall into this bad rap where they're constantly going the opposite direction of one another. One's going left, the other one's mirroring them, and they go right. And theoretically in a mirror they might be accurate, but it's not what we're looking for right now. And so when you put a central device, something in between the Pisces and the Gemini, you start to get a means of better communication. Now, one example of this, I worked days for a while. I had a partner that was working nights. We got a notebook and we started writing letters back and forth as we were basically walking past each other. We'd hand over the notebook. The next person would get to read the previous letter and then write their letter to the next day. And it allowed for a form of communication. Sometimes it was very practical, oh, this ran out, could you run down to the store and get this, or something to that effect. Other times it was more heartfelt. Missed you, hope you had a good day at work, got a cute butt, things like that, right? Ways to kind of make it a moment of connection where they don't have to listen to you, they just have to read the words on a piece of paper. That way your words aren't stressing them out. And so you can catch them before they start to do that pull away. The nature of the Pisces is evasive, elusive. There are fish swimming beneath the oceans, and so they're going to be all over the place anyway. If you want to keep it, you got to meet it on that level in some format, in some fashion. So what is the tool that you can create that's going to work between the both of you? What is the device that will allow a synchronicity? That way you can come and work with that tool, or realize that nothing necessarily fits to between you guys, so something has to come in around you guys. Careful wording on this one, as best as I can. In the modern era, modified relationship styles are becoming more commonplace. And I'm not saying open up your marriage. It's not what I'm saying. But if he has a restriction on you talking to other men or a limitation on time spent away, that's counterproductive if he's not going to fill that time and fill that space. So if there is an emotional need that the partner can't meet, see if there is an alternative source for that emotional need that doesn't violate the partner's sense of relationship. That's not saying get into an open relationship. That's not saying go polyamorous. It's just saying if you can have a social connection that provides the attention that you're looking for, that could be allowed if the conversation's had first. That way, it's not so much about stepping out of the relationship as it is expanding the working nature of the relationship. There's a reason why some women go and get their hair done by a particular man or go get a massage from a particular place. And it's unspoken right now. If you speak it and make it real, it at least tells them what it is that you're missing and not having to do anything that might turn into guilt concerns or guilt issues in other ways. So my overall thought, unfortunately, Princess, is he's going to be this evasive fish at all times. That's just the nature of the person. He's a Pisces. Do what you can within the realm of what is acceptable, but look for a better way with tools or other devices. And whether that be letters to each other, a mold, so you can still be with him when he's not around, or another person or energy or distraction that allows you to have the emotional need met without violating the relationship. Adaptation. Adaptation is the key priority so that you're not stuck with ghosts. Jewelry. You are up next, and I think you're the only person on the list right now. Thank you very much for all the roses. Let's see what we got for jewelry today. Asking also about relationships. Falcone. We'll get you in on here as well. Jewelry. Okay. It'll be fun. It'll be fine. It'll be good. So, the big question always is what do you do after you are back to being just you? And you'd mentioned on there dealing with a relationship, married but planning on to get a divorce. That planning phase, probably bringing out some really exciting ideas. Oh, I'll get to go do this again. I'll get to go be there again. I can connect with these people again. I won't be so alone. And so like these three that we're seeing here, getting out trick-or-treating and enjoying yourself and enjoying just living life again. Now, the core of the matter is that if out trick-or-treating is showing up, a person is missing a certain amount of activity, excitement, and energy in their life. They're not getting that particular need for the moment being heightened and exciting and wonderful met. And because of that, they're just needing to cut loose here. They're needing to break out of that box. A Taurus in that mood is a beautiful thing because they are an unstoppable force and they will find the resource to make it happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so getting to that level and getting to that stage in your classification could be terrifying, because with it could come the bull in China shop effect where everything's getting knocked down, everything's done, everything is bulldozed. Remember that as you're approaching the divorce bits. If you really want to commit to it and you really want to do it, by all means, go for it. But like I was saying with Princess, there's elements that are missing that need to be met. And if you could be allowed the rights to go and get that energy without it feeling like a violation of relationship, then it wouldn't be an issue. I go a lot to the raves and festivals, especially outdoor festivals, camping festivals. They are a particular favorite of mine. And you sometimes meet some people there that are super excited to be away from their families. They're out on their own and they're just cutting loose for the weekend. They're not doing anything that would be deemed inappropriate, but they are cutting loose in just the environment that they're in. It's like the women that used to fly alone and just enjoyed the fact that they did not need a male custodian to fly with them. They were free to fly on their own time. It's the same energy. The permission to be yourself. It sucks that we have to get permission in relationships, but that is the core tenet of monogamous relationships. We're going to have an agreement to not do harm to one another. And so before I do anything, I should have that understanding with you. But if we're with a person that demands without compromise, then it's never going to work in the long run. And this out trick-or-treating energy becomes then a scary energy of I'm behaving ways that I'm not thrilled with. I'm wearing a mask like the guy on the right and left because I don't want people to see who I really am right now while I'm cutting loose. It's possible that may be where the energy goes, but I never encourage that. I always encourage genuine self-expression as much as possible. So if they will provide you that space, perfect. If they won't provide you that space and inflict cruelty on you for asking for that space, GTFO, get away from that. If you ask for a need to be met and your partner rejects that and then ridicules you or lessens you for bringing up that request, you don't stay with that partner. That is not a partner, that is an abuser. A person cannot ridicule you for expressing a personal need. And if that personal need cannot be met in that company, sometimes you just got to go on to the next company. Is what it is. It's how it's got to be. We decide how much we'll tolerate. And so when you have hit that point, Jury, that you have decided that you will not tolerate even more, then that's the point that you go. You go have your fun, you go escape, you get into the separation, get through the divorce, and set yourself free to go out trick-or-treating. Because in the action of play, we are usually most honest and revealing of ourselves. That's why I love seeing all the dancers at the raves, because they are revealing their true selves in their dance and in their freedom. They're out playing, and they're being so good and having fun with themselves just playing. So go find your escape. Go find your rave. For me, it's Shambhala. Every year I will be going. And for others, it's places that are like all the destruction rooms, the escape to Greece, the all-inclusive cruise, the touring of mountains in Japan. Everybody has a place that they get to just play in. And if you can go and let yourself have some time in there, you'll be able to kind of get yourself back to the normal you that you were meant to be. And then you can track down a guy that actually wants to go with that energy and not against it. Don't stay with abusers, guys. Don't stay with controllers. Make sure you're finding somewhere where you can be your true and authentic self. And whether that be within understanding through compromise in the relationship, or whether that be as an individual, you have to be out enjoying yourself if you're going to find future satisfaction, Jury. Good luck. Have some fun. Eat some candy. Do the good things. Do the good things. Do wonderful things, because you deserve to do wonderful things too. The whole point behind out trick-or-treating is we deserve this. Make sure you don't let yourself forget what you deserve. Falcone is coming up next. Falcone asking about Sean. See, this is weird, Falcone, because you're asking about Sean being interested in somebody else. What is Sean to you? Like, are you guys dating? Are you guys in a commitment? Is there some soul contract between you two that you perceive? Or are you just asking about somebody else's interests? And I only... Okay, so there is a contract then. There is some level of agreement. I can approach it from that angle. I have your consent to read you. I don't have Sean's consent to read him, if that makes sense. And so the reason why I asked the question is just to make sure that I am aiming everything right, aiming it at your energy and not at Sean's, where I have consent versus where I don't have consent. Woo! Let's see what we got. Sean and Falcone, and there's a relationship and a vibe and a flow. Draw me a card on that, please. Shit. I had a card fly out before, and I don't usually take jumpers. I have a rule that I don't take jumpers. I haven't in over a decade, and because of that, jumpers, they get noted, but they usually get shuffled back in. Now, that's the one that we've cut for, Falcone. This is the one that jumped. There is... For an intuitive, there's a certain degree of fun that can be found here. Because theoretically, we've got opposites of each other being presented. And where then, if I was taking both cards, where then do I calculate the truth, right? Ghost of the Pumpkin Patch is all about absence and mourning for somebody and wishing they were here and wishing they were here right now and just why can't they be here right now? The Pink Lotus Fairy is being right here, right now, in peace and serenity because everything that you need is right here and right now. I can't look at the two and ignore the fact that they're both just talking about what's right here and what's right now. Do I think it's another person? As a concept, maybe. As a physical unit, as a physical body, as a person that is there in front of him, I don't think so. I don't think so. But as an idea of what better could be, maybe. And therein lies the ghost in the room. You're not getting the full energy and the full focus. You know you're not getting the full intention. And so something here feels as though it's being taken away and robbed away and pulled away from you. However, the energy that you're looking for is right there beneath your feet. It just hasn't been honed in on necessarily in the right way. And so I would say with Sean, it's a need not so much to focus on where he's looking at, but what he's looking for. What is it that is missing? And much like we've been talking about earlier, is it within what is appropriate for the relationships? If what he's missing is an emotional need or a physical need, discuss it and see if there's a realm of making it possible. But if it is straight up a want, desire, or at the furthest point of the scale, a lust, then pause breaks for just a moment. Because when it comes to those kind of exchanges, when it comes to a submission to somebody else's lust, it has to feel appropriate to you. It has to be discussed. It has to be a willing compromise. I think what you're feeling is what could sometimes be discussed as growing apart. As people get older, as we develop, and numerously throughout our lifetime, like I'm not just talking teenage years and late 20s going into your 30s, there's a menopause and menopause that hits both genders coming around at the late 40s, early 50s for a lot of us. If you're really unlucky, it starts in your early 40s. And I'm so sorry if that's the case, but it's for both men and women. We change, we evolve, we grow in a new way. And sometimes when we're doing that growing, we start to pull out of places that were familiar before. I think that's what's underneath all of this here. And if that's what's there, then you just need to discuss the evolution of yourselves. A 5-year goal might give some direction, it might give some planning, but you need to enjoy what's here and now in this moment before this moment itself drifts away. Meditation doesn't last forever. It only lasts as long as you close your eyes for it. And so making sure that you're ready to be in that transition that might be coming up ahead so that you can manage yourself to the next level and to the next form. I am a little sorry, Falcone. It's not doom, but it is open the eyes and be very clear on what is missing right here, right now, because there is a loss. And that loss is only going to get bigger if it's not addressed and found out for what it needs to be. Jury is asking, can I ask, like, future brings or awareness of some people? Here's my general long and short of it. No worries, Falcone. Good luck. I hope it goes well. Amanda, stick around if you can. I will definitely draw you a card. And if you can't stick around, it'll be on YouTube a little bit later on Lopic Magic House. I'm going to take a minute just to address Jury's question because it does bring up really, really good points and is really, really good to the point. Arugula! I'll get you that draw as well too. If you can stick around, great. Otherwise, YouTube later. So Jury, what the future brings, yes, you can ask about the future. The trick with the future is that the future is always within a certain degree of our own control. I am a balanced mix between believing in absolute fate. Like Doctor Who says, there are fixed points in time that we have to be aware of and we have to be prepared for. And if we can address those fixed points of time with dignity and respect, nothing will ever go out of scale. And the universe itself will bend around to make sure those fixed point in times don't change. That's Bob. I call my universe Bob. I call God Bob. That's my Bob. Most of our universe is free will and personally designed. And so you can absolutely ask about what the future will bring. But remember Geronimo. Geronimo, who was shot multiple times, but because a sage told him once, "You will not die from a bullet," he never fell to a bullet. Now, is it that he knew that within his own mind and believed it with such faith and conviction that he made it true? Or is it that that's what the man saw and so foretold for him and everything else? And I believe both. A word said to you is meant to empower you. And so I'll tell you about future things, but when it gets down to some specifics, if I tell it to you the wrong way or say it the wrong way, I'm trying to speak over your fate, over your destiny, and over your free will. And I won't do that. I try to avoid that as much as I can. I'm super careful in how I dish out love readings because of that. And it's why I won't treat the Tower card as a divorce card. It could, but I'm not going to say automatically divorce and separation from a Tower card. I'm going to say liberation and evolution. And if you can get that mindset, you can make it better. So this future concept, I want to leave it as much in your powers as possible. Some people, for awareness, yes. I cannot deny that there is a spiritual and genetic connection between bloodlines. And so family members, I will usually afford questions about. Committed partners, preferably. If you are in just a sexual relationship, as long as it is acknowledged as just a sexual relationship, I'll draw for that as well too. Because it's direct energy exchange. When you're asking about another person, you're asking me to look at their energy. If I look at the person themselves, directly at them and what they have going out from them, then I'm asked, it's invasion of their privacy. I don't have consent to look at that person. I have consent to look at you because you're saying I have permission. And then I can look at what connections you have coming out from there. So I can see him and his energy through the connection from you. And then I have to extrapolate from that an outside perspective based on what I have seen in the other places. Otherwise, it's just you that I'm seeing. This way, I'm not reading them. I'm not violating consent rule. And I'm not trying to read just for you. I'm trying to read for the situation as a whole, which is supposed to help reinforce the free will rule. A lot of readers will tell you to break up with a person just so they can introduce you to the next person, and then break you up with that person as well too, just so they can validate themselves. I'm always careful about what consent and what free will expressions a reader is saying around me. You then did ask about meeting a man that's not abusive, and I will absolutely get that on there as a question. I'll give you that one quick. Usually I just do one, but I've been having fun hanging out here, and you're asking some great questions. So I will throw you another card for sure. Amanda Banks, you had a question as well. Argula, and there was a few more afterwards. Hi, Wilderness Angel. I will absolutely get you a card. And Country, I'll get you a card as well. If you guys can't stick around, it's going to take about 10 minutes-ish to get through everybody there. If you can't stick around, find me on YouTube at Lopic Magic House, and we'll get you the cards there. I always post the replay after I'm done on YouTube. That's usually after 2 or 3 hours and later into the evening, though, because I do try to stay here for some time. Come see me every Thursday, because everyone deserves a card. Thursday is my day to do it. Amanda Banks, should I continue to hold on to the energy I feel towards Jay? Possibly. Like, the thing with the Lantern Fairy is she's the cheeky one in this deck kind of saying, you know the answer, why are you asking? Yeah, she's the one that's kind of pointing out that you've done something like this before. You have the insights, you have the wisdom, you have the light in your hand. You just need to use it to kind of guide your way through. And so typically when I get people getting an energy like this around the idea of connection, I often talk about patterns. Has the person been an asshole all spring and all summer? Then they're going to be an asshole in the fall too. Do you really want to tolerate that? If the consistency has shown you who they're going to be, then you know exactly what you can expect. And you can act very clearly on that. Because you have watched it and seen it for some time. You have shone your light on it. And the truth is yours, the understanding is yours. It's unfortunate because it means that you're giving up something that has added to you in the past. But it may simply be that they've given you all the gift that they have for you, and now you have to manifest something out of it in your own space, in your own time. It's like when somebody fills us with anger. Well, anger is a fuel. And if you can make that a light source fuel, that anger can shine brightly to show you the way out of your own anger. Because it's not your anger that you're burning away, it's theirs. You're letting it just wash through you, away from you, and liberating you. Just a bit more of a harder manifestation concept, but the core principle of it's really quite simple. They have given you understanding of them based on their actions and on their behaviors. Jay is who Jay is going to be. And so if you can't tolerate the way that they're acting, you can't hold on to the energy. People will get into concepts of twin flames and soulmates when we start discussing energy between people. I will agree to soulmates. I am super cautious with the twin flame ideology now because I'm catching a lot of weird snippets with it of it just not being safe. And at this stage of the game, let's be honest, I'm on to like my 7th or 8th twin flame. So something can't be quite right there. Just can't be. And so, soulmates absolutely exist. And that connection has to be respected, but you don't hold it. It is just part of you. If you're holding it, then it's something else. Is what you're holding a knife? Is what you're holding a rope? Is what you're holding their attachment to you? And once you kind of identify what exactly it is that you're holding, it's very easy to let go of things without having to cut anything. Cutting things sucks. Cutting things hurts. But when you just allow yourself to let go of things that don't belong, that is an opportunity of liberation. Opportunity of true freedom from other people's traps. So trust your own instinct and what you've been seeing with this individual. And personally, I would say Jay isn't going to change. So if you cannot endure what Jay is, then you don't stay. Jewelry asking about a man, not abusive. I have personal thoughts on that. I have deep personal thoughts on that. Reach me out for a message anytime that you want. Let's talk about men and the state of men. I'm going to start bullying men. Like the bear versus man debate lately has been really, really, really good opportunity for some guys just to shut up and listen and not talk and not fill the space. But a lot of them chose to anyway. And so the common man, most of them are neither good men or bad men. They're just dumb kids. And a dumb kid stopped aging somewhere between 16 and 21, and they never got out of it. That's why a teenager doesn't look like it's off limits to them, because in their mind they're still 16. They're still just a dumb kid. They don't want to grow up and be an old man. Old man hits us at a different age for each one of us. And when it hits, you realize that you're not wanted by this world. You're not a fit. You're not a tool for this world. This world has moved past you already. When that happens, you have to validate your existence, and you get good men, you get bad men. Good men are trying to do something that's going to make what's around them safer. Bad men are trying to do something so that they can have more power over what's around them. Both of these ultimately suck because they're both living for themselves still and their wants and what's immediately around them. The gentleman is the one that has moved on to being no longer about his lifespan because he's going to die. He needs to plant trees for people to eat from after he dies. He needs to build ditches so that the fields that he tilled do not flood after he dies. He needs to build walls so that anyone that tries to invade after he dies cannot get over the walls. Their life is a sacrifice for the next generation because they are already dead. It is an extreme viewpoint. It is an extreme outset. But let's be frank here. We all already know that at some point we are going to die. So what are we doing right now about that? Are we trying to pretend that it's not going to happen? Or are we trying to be respectful of the fact that we can only contribute so much before we're useless? Make it about the greater picture. Make it about the greater whole. You, jewelry, you like the pretty sea lights. You like the bright things, you like the flashes, you like the glitz, and that's wonderful. Energy tastes delicious, and absolutely you should allow yourself to pursue it, chase it, and explore it. But you have to learn discernment. You have to learn to tell which boy, which man, good or bad, and which gentleman you're actually dealing with in front of you. And you only get that discernment by really taking time and careful pacing with guys. 6 months is my usual recommendation for casually dating before getting into a commitment, because the dumb boy that can't keep it in his pants won't last more than 2 months. It's rare occasion 3, but by the end of 3, they're just angry with you and they've already been sleeping with somebody else on the side anyway. Most people stop being able to fake themselves after 3 months. They start to become more genuine, more natural, more relaxed, and that's when you can actually see who they really are and what's really going on there. But for you, jewelry, it's gotta be about discernment and being able to see what the sign is there. Is it light coming off the mist off the sea, or is it the lighthouse, strong and secure and wanting to bring you to safety? When you get that good flow with it, better things will come. Arugula asking about this date tonight. Let's see what we got for Arugula. Jury, I really appreciate you popping in and joining my show. I love the support, love the questions. You asked some really, really good questions earlier, and I appreciate the opportunity to kind of go into it a little bit. So thanks for popping in. Arugula, you're coming up with the Carousel Fairy. Every time I see this one, I want to always bust out Justin Timberlake. What goes around, goes around, goes around, goes around, then it comes around. But I can't sing as good as him. I really can't, and I know I can't. That said, it's that same vibe, though. It's that around and around and around we've kind of gone, and we start getting into this weird bit of why is it always the same thing over and over and around and around? And on the one hand, we could debate it's the methodology, going to the same places, going to the same things, or it is getting down to the same type. Sometimes we get a little bit fixated on something that we are familiar with. Throughout all of high school, there was only 2 types, goths and redheads, only those 2 types. When I got into my 20s, I started looking and seeing what else was out there, and at this point you would not be able to nail down my type, not without a supercomputer and 10,000 spreadsheets. But you gotta actually realize your own patterns before you can break those patterns out. The flip side of it, you exude an energy or a presence that may be attracting a particular type as well too. And bright lights always attract moths. Strong energy forms always attract leeches. And so there's a counterbalance to the other side of it where the energy that you lay out may be having an effect on the situations as well too. And so when you come back home, go on the date. When you come back home, write down a pros and cons list. You do not come back home with the person if it's a first date. If it's a second, third, or fourth, then we could debate that, and I would have no issues with it, especially if it's after the fourth. But after the first date, having that separation of time before going to bed, sleeping, and resetting your internal system allows you a very different opportunity of analysis of what happened on that date, because they're no longer there to influence you. They're no longer there to move the idea around in a certain way and shape it in a certain light. So that's going to be my kind of push or suggestion. Go on the date, sure, but make sure that you break the routine cycles that you go on. When you come home tonight, get the yellow notebook out and do the pros and cons list. Really kind of measure it through and decide, what about this person made them different from anybody else? What made them familiar from anybody else? The familiarity is where you're finding safety and security. The difference is where you could find excitement. It all comes back to how open-minded and easy on the approach you want to be with it as you go. Of course, I love it. I do private bookings, yes. Shoot me a message anytime. I'm also on Facebook, Lopic MH or Lopic Magic House, and reach out to me anytime. I'm currently based in Alberta, and I travel around Alberta, but Western Canada is open and accessible at this time. And I can do video call or phone call or whatever works for you. Thank you for joining in. Really, really appreciate the question. I think it was Wilderness Angel next, and then Country, I've got you up after that. And just those two on the list. Cool. Wilderness Angel. Any message, any message. Wilderness Angel, give us anything, Bob. Let's just roll with it. It's funny. That's funny, Bob. For those that don't know, I call God Bob. Bob is everything. Bob is nothing. The universe says hi. Bob says hi. Bob says hi is what I say when things just get a little bit too weird for the moment. And random synchronicities occur that just shouldn't. So, Wilderness Angel, your Bob moment is the Violet Duchess. Violet Duchess looks like she's about to get a little violent because whatever is going on around her is just boring her to death. And whether it be violence against them or violence against herself, this pressure cooker is building up to a way that is going to just be explosive. Bored and stifled. Stifled especially, squished in. Stuck in a spot that's not necessarily providing the booms, the rushes, the highs, as one might be looking for. The moving to the country and wanting to eat all the peaches, but when you get to the country, realizing that all the peach trees have been cut down and there's a parking lot there now. And so it's just not quite panning out the way that one might think it was supposed to. And now that they're there, the effort that it's going to take to make it the experience that they want it to be is ludicrous. And somebody else is saying no. Somebody else is stopping it. We need to fix this, but nobody's going to let it be fixed. And so it becomes this endless catch-22. The only option is to get off of the chair and just move. Just strike. The bad side to that is you're doing it without conversation, without permission, without expression besides the action itself. And that's going to terrify some people. It's going to make them feel as though you are trying to be forceful in a way, the violence coming out in a way that they're not quite eager for. But you can't be quiet all the time and expect people to understand you or feel you or hear you. You must speak, act, and do the things that you know you need to do if you want to see change actually work through. Can't just stay on the couch and witness it all and then say nothing could be done for it. Because as a witness, you're not attached. You are very attached to this thing. You are very attached to this moment, and you are so sick and frickin' tired of it. Remove the moment from your immediate surroundings by moving you to where you belong. Good luck. She's a little bit of, I love the hair. I really do love the hair, don't get me wrong. But there's a weird combination of the purple right against the red. The crown being stuck on the couch doesn't quite fly. It needs to get out of the root, into the solar, into the sacral, into the heart. Find the passion. Engage the passion. Engage whatever you can do. I just scrolled down and saw the note about the operation. Do whatever you can do to make sure that you feel controlled then. Because if you just sit there stewing in this, it's going to drive you crazy. Have the house ready. Like, I had a gal do a hip operation, had to have the house in such a way that everything was ready. Can't just sit there. Can't just be there and do nothing. Hi, Limitless. Yeah, it's free. Every Thursday it's free. I always do free on Thursday because everybody should always have access to tarot. Everyone should have access to spirituality, period. And so think of it like a quick church service in a weird sort of way. You got questions, you got things. I will always be happy to answer them and work with them. Anyway, I rambled a little bit there. Where are we at here? Good luck. Don't just sit there and let them tell you what to do. I know doctors suck too. Sometimes when it comes to communication and things like that, they don't necessarily want to come up and be upfront with it, but you can follow up with them. And any updates, any new reports, that way if something does come up that they have to tell you right away, and that does give you a lot more control than you think it does. Country was asking about finances, so I've got Country up next, and Breen, I've got you up here as well too. No worries, Wilderness. Good luck. All the best on the surgery. I am sure good things, better things, and positive things coming through. Because you're not just going to sit there and take it, you're going to get up and do things about it. Which means I just unleashed you on a bunch of doctors, and that makes me so happy. Like, in a way I cannot even begin to express. Authority figures that don't respect their power are trouble for me. Country, asking about finance. Country, asking about finance. Yeah, no, we weren't supposed to shuffle any back in. Country, asking about finance. So, Country, you got Callie. It's weird with Callie because Callie's all about relationships and breaking relationships. This was the card that I'd drawn before, but I didn't want to shuffle any cards back in, so I put it off to the side. And you gotta, kind of like the last time I ended up with two cards on screen for a minute, how do you compare Callie, Goddess of Destruction, Death, and Change, with the concept of a carousel going around and around and around consistently? Well, obviously in the momentum of it. You don't want to be stuck on a carousel, you need to be affecting change. You don't want your finances to stay exactly as they are, you want there to be a change. And in both cases, it's about adding new dances, adding new routines, adding new methods. Callie gets involved in relationships that are going through tough times. She dances with the partners and improves their communication and expression with each other so they can go and do greater and better things. And so I do wonder, the personal relationships that you have, not just romantically, but all around, what are they really doing to help sustain and improve your dynamic? And where are they actually progressing you to? If somebody wants to be a professional hairdresser, they're going to find themselves hanging out with more hairdressers at a stylist or a salon and growing with that community in order to find their place within it. Excuse me. In the same way, you have to find yourself moving yourself into new evolutions and new higher forms of yourself. You can't do the same thing and expect a different response or result. So, what gets to break? What gets to be put to the destruction so that better things can come and take its place? Because that's the only way that you're going to make this change, that you're going to make this shift actually happen. The pro side, because it's financial, it is somewhat of your choice. You can decide what you will get rid of and what you won't. The downside is, if you're comfortable right now, you just wish you had that little bit of extra, it does mean possibly unsettling the comfort in order to get that extra. And that's something everybody has to be careful with. You don't ever want to do more damage to yourself in the hopes of something paying off. Make sure you're doing small things to build up to the bigger possibilities and bigger potentials. There's the gut instinct because it's Callie to put the blame on like a partner, but I don't feel like it's a partner. Like, you could even look at it from an investing perspective and being like, well, if you're going to dance with the 6% rate of return, then no, you're not going to see any difference if you go and invest more in a 4% rate of return. You're going to see less. But however, if you challenge it on this 12% over the next 10 years, you could see even double the normal return you would normally get. And in that case, yes, break the relationship with that which is making it too conservative in growth, and allow yourself the relationship with something that's going to bring greater growth, if you want to look at it from a strictly stock market kind of perspective. Good luck, country. I had Limitless pop in for a card. And anybody else on the list right now? I don't think so. No worries, country. Pick the basket carefully. A good basket will do you better, for sure, but pick the basket carefully. Where do you really want to invest the energy to see your development come from? Hi, Limitless. Free card for Limitless, saying, and Breen, Naha left me a 6-year relationship for a third party of 2 weeks. Will she return? How old is Neha? You guys were together for 6 years, and they're often kind of doing their own run. There's been a lot of that for warned about coming up this year. So be okay. 20 suck. 20 suck. Like, let's draw you a card first. Watching what's coming up on the bottom here. And thank God they gave me a nicer card on top to talk about this with, because otherwise that was going to be a pain in the butt. I wasn't gonna say, but this was the card that was on the bottom here. I always look at what's at the bottom because there's a little kind of hint that you can get off of it, and like the idea that she is, from her perspective. From her perspective, she's liberating herself into a new form of herself. She thinks that she is ascending into light. She thinks that she is blossoming. What she is or isn't doing for herself isn't for us to dive too heavily into. What she is doing as a result of this to you is dragging you sort of into this weird emotional turmoil where nothing feels necessarily easily identified, held on to, or conceived. It's all illusions and sparks. There's a message here where you get a few minutes of this time and you feel like you're seeing the old her, and all of a sudden it's gone again, and it's only glimpses through foggy mist. This is more commonplace in our 20s than a lot of us necessarily talk about, and the outcome usually depends on where the relationship was at. If it was a long-term relationship like yours, living together, marriage rings and things like that, they will probably come back around to discuss the evolution that they've gone through, but they might not necessarily stick around. It might be just to collect their stuff and go. Retaining the relationship is difficult because in their mind, they've done this transition into some new evolution of themselves. And so the card that they're using here, and it's interesting that the bottom talks about distorted reality. The top is talking about spiritual transference and awareness and evolution. So this is the two perspectives that you two are sort of bickering with between your connection. She wants to transform and become this beautiful version of herself. Whereas on the opposite side, you're looking at what she's doing going, girl, this is insane. Are you nuts? And you're both right. You're both right. For you, it's so far out from what you would consider the norm and the acceptable that it's an affront to the very nature. But that doesn't mean that it's wrong. The morality around it comes from other avenues. That there was a monogamous commitment to you, and they went that direction instead, that is an affront. That is a disrespect. But that they are with many people is not an affront to order. It's just them expressing and discovering themselves. And so here's where you kind of got to weigh your options, right? why I've kind of avoided in the last 4 or 5 years. Unfortunately, I've had something firmly committed for the last three, but for the last period of time, I started moving very far away from everything in the 20s because the 20s were insane. I'm almost 40 now. I'm 37, and not partaking in a lot of the chaos of the 20s really helped to calm things down for me. Because there's so much development and growth and change going on there, you don't know what's going to come out on the far side unless you're willing to go through the motions with them. They have gone to this other side and this other way of lifestyle. Can you? If not, don't. Let them go to do their thing. If you try to keep them trapped in your world, it's only going to cause an additional chaos on the far side. It's only going to make it about trapping the person rather than actually allowing them to be their expression of themselves. Wilderness angel, you can get away with that today. Young is a concept. Young is a concept. Yes, I am a young pup because I've not gone through the male menopause yet. And as such, I am fully aware that I haven't gone through that last big major change, and I don't know what my emotions are going to be like on the other side of it. That's what these kids here are talking about, though, in the early stage. It's just the end of puberty stage, having to go through the idea of this is now my body and this is now my form. Who you want to come back is the person that she was before, right? Like if I remember correctly, Embreen. Yeah, Embreen. Are you wanting yeah, that person will never come back. That person never gets to come back. And that's the sorrow here. That is the sorrow, and that is why I'm kind of touching this one a little bit carefully. This person has to go through a complete change of themselves, an evolution of themselves, before they can come back. They are entirely adapted and changed from what they were, and they are now going to become something else entirely. Yes. And that's what you're going to have to work with, and figuring out how to use that communication to release them in such a way that you're not compromising them. They deserve their right to explore themselves and become who they want to be. We as individuals cannot control another person's free will. If we make agreements, we should try to honor those agreements. But as soon as it becomes impossible to maintain two people in agreement, let the agreement go. That's all it's got to be. Relationships are tricky. Relationships are super tricky. And it's one of those things that you just got to approach it with as much compassion and understanding as possible. Hey, Jayla. You could do that, country. Shoot me a message, either on here or on Lopic Magic House on Facebook, and we can definitely get something kind of figured out. It's a shame that she didn't, or won't be. Like if it's tied to you, her coming, I wouldn't let her come if this is how she's behaving. There comes a point where you have to accept boundaries and maintain a certain decorum, right? And if she's not going to maintain that decorum, then it's no dice. It's no dice. It's just no dice. Probably, yeah. Shoot me a message so I don't forget about you, but I can probably work something in. Oh, if her visa got rejected, she's... yeah, don't attach yourself to that at all. Don't, meaning no offense to the lady at all, but if your visa and her visa ever get put into the same pot, then whatever she's doing that's causing her frustration is going to cause you frustration as well too. And if she's already frustrating you in other ways like this, at what point do you just say that it's time to let it go on, let it go forward, let it go its own way, right? So don't be trapped. Don't be trapped by your own desires. Yeah, I've been called a young pup for almost my entire life. I'm getting really sick and tired of it. Like, I've got gray No gray yet, but someday. And like, does it have to be all 5 zones before I finally get to be an old man? What the hell? Like if I drink coffee, I get the heart flutters like an old man. Like, ah, wisdom is what you get when you pee on different electrical fences to figure out what the currents are like. Mild madness, mild madness. It's also a bad joke too because the birthmark here was growing gray hair while I was a kid. I've never not been gray my entire life. Even as a child, trying to play off being an old man, but just because of some gray hair. So I don't have anyone on the list right now. If anyone would like to grab a card, it's a decent enough time for it. Only 12:21 right now over here, so I could probably kick this for another 15-20 minutes or whatever it needs to be. Okay. If that's what it has to turn into, that's what it turns into. Just don't yell at me when I leave. That's all I ask. Or I'll just start rambling about the nonsense that's on each card and try to make it a spin-off life lesson, you know? There's always ways. Yeah, because I had a feeling this card was going to pop up, and I don't want to discuss this card in relation to you. No, that wouldn't be nice. So let's talk a concept right now. I thought this card was going to actually pop up for Limitless. When it didn't, I was a little bit satisfied. And so it may not even be you, Jewelry. It may be just a result of what we were discussing there with Limitless. And so we're going to kind of dive into that concept a little bit deeper here. What we have here is the Death and the Maiden. Now, the concept behind Death and the Maiden is ultimately down to one of abuse. Death needs the maiden because the maiden is life, its warmth, its comfort, its security. Death is taking from the maiden constantly, absorbing that warmth, absorbing that life and all that energy coming towards him. The thing is, the abuse starts in how Death approaches the maiden. When Death insists upon the maiden that he loves her, he cares for her, he appreciates her. You are so good. You are just so good for keeping me warm and staying here beside me. You are so good for being here with me. And at the end of the day, he has been preying upon her, much like a hunter preys upon the deer in the woods. He has been pursuing her energy and pursuing her form for that take and for that bit. Now, been talking a little bit here today about connections and energies and forms, and I'm fairly sure with some of what we've gone through here, some of you guys are recognizing where you are being hunted by these energies and these peoples that don't see you for the value of what you are, but for the things that they are missing. Death has no skin, has no body, has no warmth. And so you are the provision of that warmth to Death, and Death is going to tell you how good of you it is to give that over. Break those cycles wherever you can in your life. Do not allow other people the power to see you as their meal. Like, vampires are all good and fine, I get it. The whole concept is hypersexualized and left in such a way that it triggers the nature of predator-prey kind of play. And as play, that's one thing. But that comes with a safe word. That comes with consent. Predator cannot attack a prey randomly on the streets in a human civilization. That's called graping. And we do not tolerate such behavior, at least in most 99.99% of what we try to present as a culture. We don't allow that. So when it does happen invisibly, We have to make sure that we are rejecting it in all of its power over us. If we are being treated as prey, we have to shut down the predator death, and we have to remove ourselves from its influence. When a friend, worse yet, a brother, is behaving like a predator death, we have to be willing to look them in the eye and be like, that's not what you do here. That's not appropriate. You can justify any behavior if you are logical enough with it. However, justification of something does not make it ethical or moral. And so the predator needing the flesh to feel warm and everything else, we understand that. But it is to the predator to be the ethical and moral one, as their actions kill the other. If the hunter were to actually approach a gal and say, listen, I'm really into CNC and I just want to do it to you. If he said it like that, that's really pushy, but that is the absolute limit of the line. It is then that woman's choice or right to say, I am not into CNC and we will not be doing that here, and immediately reject the energy and reject the form. That rejection, being respected by the predator and the predator immediately leaving, is the only way such behavior can be done morally and ethically. A gentleman buying an OnlyFans so he can distribute it to a Reddit of 10,000 is not ethical predator behavior. It is not moral. I don't care that you justify it by saying they put it out there. It is still not ethical or moral, period. So for everybody in flow here, be mindful of what is behind those intentions and what behind that form. Get to know the face of the individual. As long as you can understand them honestly and genuinely, and they're not trying to play facades or games with you, then yes, such behaviors and flows can be made to be part of a beautiful relationship, but it has to be done properly. If someone presents to you as a vampire, but makes you a slave chained to their will, that ain't a sexy vampire. That's an abuser. That's all there is to it. Anyway. Jewelry, given that was the card that showed up just before you asked that, I would say let's come back to that another day, but be careful with the energies and be careful with the flows. Jeta, yeah, let's get you a card. Absolutely. Is that a T or is that an L? Because I see now that it's a slightly crooked cross. And I like that it's a slightly crooked cross, and I've asked this before. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Jayla. It is Jayla. Okay. I like crooked crosses, though. That was kind of cool to see. Breakups suck. The Fairy of the Highlands is one of my favorite ones here. I like to say that she's the Highlander. There can be only one, and she's going to survive it all. She is going to survive it all. And that is supposed to be the subtext with this card when it comes up into play. You will survive, you will endure. But that sword can't just be a walking stick. It has to be used for what it actually is, a sword of truth. That's wonderful for him. That's wonderful for him. That doesn't mean that you're going to stay there and wait and be his pretty baby for him to come back to. That doesn't mean that you're going to sit there and just be tolerated while he runs around and does his own thing. And my gut instinct is that it relates to a behavior that would be a culture that you don't want to get involved with. It's like you're with somebody and they suddenly develop a coke habit because it's the go-to drug for their lawyer office. And so they're now exploring that lifestyle, and that journey is taking them somewhere that you can't follow. They want to be a politician, and you don't want to be in limelight at all. You can't follow. And because of that change of direction that they are making, you have to speak to your own truth and your own standards in your own form. They can go and do their thing. Have your fun. Go do you. Do you and enjoy yourself, sir. Don't expect me when you come back. Don't wait for me, because I'm probably not going to be here. I'm not waiting for you. I'm really upset that you would decide that this is how you want to go about it. We could have done this together. I would have stood by you through this, but you're choosing to do it alone. And I don't know why, and I don't know if I would believe your reasons why. Allow yourself the liberation and the truth and the freedom of it. In doing so, it bolsters the fact that you are at the core of it, strong, independent woman. You do you, your way, your style, every time, every way. You maintain the integrity of your form, even if they're not going to maintain the integrity of theirs. And that way, when they do come rolling back around, when we've locked ourselves into the idea of pining for them, when they come back around, they always look like Jesus. And there's a few manipulators that have picked up on that, and so I just don't even risk playing that game anymore. If it's genuine that they want to evolve and grow and change themselves, that's great. When they do show back up, you wouldn't recognize them. And that's going to be the big rub. When they do come back around, if they are still the same person, you will be fully validated that it was not you, your relationship, or anything of that sort that was holding them back. It was them. They are the source of their own problems and their own concerns. My gut on it. There's opportunity for people here to go and just enjoy themselves a little bit more after this. And I think you should let yourself have some of that fun as well too. Not staying stuck waiting for somebody that will probably not be joining you the way that you're looking for. And allowing yourself the liberty to enjoy life and experience on your own pacing. Go have some fun. Which, post-relationship, what kind of fun do we all want to get into, right? Some people, it's literally jumping right into the next relationship. I think even better than that, what would you do with your time if your time was entirely your own? If you compared the two answers that you and him offered to that question, obviously asked separately, because you'll probably never get an honest answer if he was in the same room, but you can start to realize where people are really prioritizing themselves. He wants to work on himself, which means he wants to work on himself as an independent individual. It sounds more ego-driven than it does sound development-driven. It's like a person that's trying to make an image of themselves based on only the opinion of one. Don't get dragged into it. Cut him down if he comes back near you. There's subtext in there I'm not going to pry into because it is him that I would then be prying in on. But for you, your space, your guard, your defenses, your way. And don't let yourself get dragged back into somebody else's drama. Where are we at here? 12:34. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the mountain time. Oof. Okay. A few new things at the bottom, but not too much. Jesus. Wilderness Angel's been married longer than I've been alive. No wonder I'm being called a young pup again. No worries, Jayla. This spring and this summer is going to be shit for relationships. This summer especially. Regrettably, this is the turning point for a lot of different areas around the world in seeing something else. Now, what else depends where exactly you're at and who exactly is contributing. But the shifting energy tends to strike people away from one another, dividing relationships, dividing agreements, and kind of pushing people into new and different waters. And so I don't expect a lot of really good vibes kind of working in throughout all the summer months. And The relationships that are tested and broken, don't take it as a failing point. It is simply that the lessons and the experiences that you were working with at that point, they've expired. They've run their course. You are educated now, and you get to take that energy and take that form into something better, into something new. And so with the chaos that we've already kind of seen in today's run, take the experiences and as best as you can, fabricate a Band-Aid that works for them. Some of those Band-Aids will be about keeping you and the partner together, evolving in understanding, communication, and trust so that you can give it that proper second shot. But that will be down the road, after the time of reflection, healing, and reconsideration, where the relationship is completely tumultuous and not worth recovery because they didn't get their visa and they're not coming to town, or because they just don't want to come back to town for you. Let those ones go completely and stitch up the heart when you can. Once a heart's been stabbed, it's kind of weird. I always think of the idea, if you've got a knife inside of you, you don't pull it out right away, because if you pull it out right away, you're going to start bleeding faster. And so you leave the knife in until you can properly bandage, stitch, or otherwise provide the next step in medical care. As such, when the heart has been stabbed deeply, when the energy has been hit hard that way, it's important to make sure that before you pull the knife out and start that grieving process, you have some means of slowing the bleed or closing the wound available. This is why a lot of people jump from one relationship to the next. The new relationship is the Band-Aid. But one of the things I've remained consistently with is that a new relationship, or a relationship born out of adultery or cheating with a previous relationship, will not usually last very long. It will usually fizzle out almost immediately, because it is just a Band-Aid, a recovery point. It will serve its purpose, stop the bleeding, and then it will be let go of. With yourselves, don't get locked into that pattern. It's not healthy. Take it from me. It's really not healthy. Didn't do me any good at any point, any time in my life. Recognizing the knife, whatever that truth is, whatever that word was, whatever that attack was, recognizing it for what it is, means being really careful in your evaluation of it. Not all words that an angry partner, ex-partner says are false. They are a perspective of truth in each and every one of them. How we receive that truth is up to us too. That's how we pull out the knife. And so you'll get some people out there that they've never pulled a knife out of their heart once. They are just a porcupine of somebody else's mean and critical words into their heart. And the heart still works, the heart still beats, but it's not been tended to. And so when it beats blood. Don't get lost in that don't get lost in that maze, don't get lost in that hell. It's not for you guys. Instead, allow yourself the moment, the space, the grace, and the support. Don't get the idea that love will not come back for any of you. Trust that there is connections that exist all across the board. Love is supreme that way. All of us are connected in some way and in some fashion, and the more we start to explore and respect those connections, the more powerful we each can become. When you allow yourself love that is on your terms, whether that be monogamous or polyamorous, whether that be ethical monogamy, or whether that be relationship anarchy, or the entire spectrum in between, remember it is just you seeking connection. It is just you seeking belonging. And you do belong. You are part of this beautiful experience and experiment that we call life, and you have every right to connect with those that you want to within that life. Respect the requests, respect the boundaries of yes and no, and always remember to put yourselves as the heart to be filled so that you can fill other hearts from what you know and what you love. It's all about love. And you can make it a cheesy Beatles song, I think that one was, if you want, but it's all about love. And love is all that we all truly have to give. As humans, we like to think about all the work and things that we can do there to make life better for others, but let's be honest. Somebody else started those farm fields that you're eating off of. Before that, there was somebody that loved his people enough to go out and steal a fruit from that tree before all the predator animals ate him alive. And if he got back, you guys would eat. If he didn't get back, well, you guys wouldn't eat. There was, I say guys and I gender it male, and I really shouldn't do that because it could be women too. I imagine they were probably better at it, faster than us 9 times out of 10. And however you want to look at it, from the very primeval concept, we loved somebody else enough to feed them more than us so that they would outlive us. Love was one of our first attempts to escape from the fear of death, and I think it's probably one of the healthiest attempts. As long as we can love openly, freely, healing others, it will work out fine in the long run. The summer will be chaos. For some of us, it'll be a lot of fun. For other of us, it'll be a lot of tiptoeing around landmines everywhere. But as long as you are doing it with love, good things come out in the long run. That I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. It is now 12:42. Just under 2 hours. We're going to get this downloaded and uploaded onto YouTube right away. I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with me here today and enjoying this lovely little show that we call normally Tarot Thursday. Normally I do tarot, but I felt like doing the Pretty Ladies today. And so that was their first time on TikTok. Yay! I do private bookings. Look me up here or on Lopic Magic House on Facebook, and we can get something sorted with that. Really do love teaching though, and so if there is anything on the spiritual side that you'd like to have taught to you, I'm available for that as well. I'm based out of Canada right now, specifically Alberta, but I like to travel, and we'll see where I can get in the next 5 years and how much of the world I can cross off the map. Every Thursday, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, we'll be back here for this show. And if you did not catch a card during the show, shoot me a message, Mama Angel. We could absolutely work something out on that. I love teaching. If you can't stay during the show, remember you can always catch it on YouTube, all under the same name. Perfect. Love it. Thank you. Wherever you guys go, wherever you are, be safe, be blessed, be super blessed. The new moon coming up, so let go of all those things that you don't want to hold on to anymore. And goodbye for now.